The Carters didn't just find a ghost in their new home, they found something that wanted their children. The Carter family arrived at Blackwood House just as the last traces of daylight slipped behind the trees. Fog clung to the ground like something alive, slithering around the tires as Mark parked the car. Emma stepped out first, staring up at the tall, weather-beaten mansion that seemed to glare back at her. Its windows were dark hollows, and the front door hung slightly crooked, as if it had been opened recently or forced. Lily, 14 and perpetually annoyed, rolled her suitcase through the gravel. "Creepy house, Dad." 10 out of 10, she muttered. 6-year-old Noah clung to Emma's coat, his eyes locked on the attic window. "Mom, someone's up there." Emma forced a smile. "Sweetheart, it's just shadows." Inside, the air was colder than outside, so cold it prickled their skin. Dust floated through the dim entryway, and the smell of old wood and damp fabric lingered. Antique furniture still sat in place, covered with faded sheets, as though the previous owner had left in a hurry. Mark flicked the light switch. Nothing. Figures. As he searched for the breaker, Emma noticed a long, ornate mirror leaning against the hallway wall. The surface was cloudy with age, but she could still see her reflection, tired, anxious, and behind her, something that looked like movement. She turned fast. Nothing was there. Noah tugged her sleeve. "Mom, they're whispering." Emma knelt. "Who's whispering?" "The people who live here," he said softly. "They said, 'Welcome home.'" Emma's breath caught. Because she had heard it too. A faint whisper right behind her ear. By the time the lights were finally working, everyone was exhausted. They ate a quick dinner of takeout, then split off to their rooms. Mark fell asleep instantly, but Emma lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying Noah's words over and over. Around 2:17 a.m., a sudden chill swept through the room. The thin curtain fluttered as though someone had brushed past it. Emma sat up, listening. The house was silent, until a soft creaking noise echoed down the hallway, slow, spaced footsteps, like someone pacing. She nudged Mark. "Do you hear that?" Mark groaned. "Old house noises. Go back to sleep." But the footsteps didn't sound like the house settling, they sounded deliberate. Emma slipped out of the bed, opened the door, and peeked into the hallway. The dim night light cast long shadows on the wooden floor, stretching toward her feet. She took a step out, hugging herself against the cold. Noah's bedroom door was open. That wasn't how she left it. She pushed it wider. Noah was asleep, his small hand dangling off the bed. But his stuffed bear, the one he refused to sleep without, lay in the middle of the hallway, far from his reach. Emma bent down to pick it up. A whisper slid across her ear. "He doesn't need that anymore." Emma spun around, heart racing. The hallway was empty. Suddenly, Noah stirred in his bed, mumbling, "Stop watching me." Emma rushed to him. "Who's watching you?" Noah pointed at the dark corner of his room. "Her." And the temperature dropped again. Emma's heart slammed against her ribs as she followed Noah's small, trembling finger toward the far corner of his room. The shadows were thick there, darker than they should have been. She stared hard, trying to convince herself it was just her imagination molding shapes where none existed. "There's no one there, baby," she whispered, though her voice trembled. Noah shook his head. "She's hiding. 'Cause she doesn't like the light." Emma swallowed hard. She flicked on the lamp beside his bed, filling the room with a warm glow. The shadow in the corner thinned, fading, but not disappearing. For a moment, Emma thought she saw the faint outline of a woman's face, pale and distorted, just before it melted into the darkness. She turned quickly. "Nothing." Noah clutched her arm. "She's mad you saw her." Emma carried him straight to her room, unable to spend another second in that cold, suffocating darkness. Noah fell asleep quickly beside Mark, who mumbled something about nightmares and pulled a pillow over his head. Emma stayed awake. At 3:41 a.m., a rhythmic tapping came from downstairs. Tap, tap, tap. She slipped out of bed again and crept down the staircase. The air felt heavier with each step, like something was pressing against her chest. When she reached the bottom, she noticed the long hallway mirror, now completely clean. Not a speck of dust. as if someone had wiped it with their bare hand. In the reflection, a woman stood behind her shoulder. Emma spun around, nothing there. But when she looked back at the mirror, a fresh handprint appeared on the glass. Emma stumbled back from the mirror, her breath shaking in her chest. The handprint on the glass was small, far too small to belong to her or Mark. It looked like a woman's hand, delicate but unnaturally long, as if the fingers had stretched to reach her reflection. She wiped it with her sleeve. The print didn't fade. Instead, another appeared beside it, and another, until 5 prints lined up across the surface like someone was dragging their hands from the inside. Emma backed away slowly, forcing herself not to turn and run. The house felt awake now, listening. A floorboard creaked above her. Then another. Footsteps light, steady, moving across the hallway where the bedrooms were. "Noah," she whispered. She rushed up the stairs, heart thundering. When she reached the top, she froze. Noah was standing outside his room, half asleep, eyes barely open. His pajama shirt lifted slightly as if a cold breeze brushed against him. "Noah, sweetheart, what are you doing out here?" Emma knelt beside him. He looked up at her, but his expression wasn't his. His face was blank, drained. "She wants to play hide-and-seek," he said in a monotone. "She said I'm the easiest to move." Emma grabbed his shoulders. "Who said that? Tell me." But Noah blinked slowly, confused. "Mom? What's wrong?" He seemed normal again. Emma held him tight, trembling. As she carried him back toward her room, she glanced down the hallway. For a split second, she saw a tall, thin silhouette slip into Lily's room, so fast she wasn't sure it was real. But Lily's door clicked shut on its own. Emma hurried to Lily's door, her pulse hammering in her throat. She grabbed the doorknob, but it was ice cold, colder than metal should ever be. For a moment she hesitated, listening. No sound came from inside. She pushed the door open slowly. Lily sat upright in her bed, staring at the far wall where her posters hung crookedly. Her eyes were wide, unblinking. Her phone lay beside her, its screen shattered, though Emma didn't remember hearing it break. "Lily, honey?" Emma whispered. Lily didn't look at her. "Mom, someone keeps saying my name." Emma's stomach knotted. "Who?" "She's standing right there," Lily said, lifting her trembling finger toward the corner. "She keeps asking if I remember her." "I don't, should I?" Emma scanned the corner, nothing but shadows. "Lily, there's no one there. You're just tired." Lily turned sharply, finally looking at her mother. Then why was she breathing on my face? A cold gust blew across the room, flickering the lamp. Emma rushed to the window, thinking it must have blown open, but it was locked shut. Lily crawled toward Emma, panicked. "Mom, please don't leave me alone tonight." Emma hugged her tightly. "I'm not going anywhere." But before she could move her daughter, both of them froze at the sound of scratching. It came from behind the wall. Slow, deliberate, like nails dragging across wood. Emma grabbed Lily's hand and backed out of the room, pulling her into the hallway. As she turned off the light, she glanced back one last time. A pale face was pressed against the inside of Lily's closet door, smiling. Emma slammed Lily's bedroom door shut, her hands trembling as she pulled both kids toward her own room. Mark finally sat up, confused and half asleep, rubbing his eyes. What's going on? Why are the kids?" Emma cut him off, voice breaking. "There's something in this house, Mark. Something in Lily's room. I saw it." Mark frowned. "Saw what?" Before she could answer, a loud thud echoed from down the hallway. Then another. Rhythmic, heavy, like someone was pounding on the closet door they had just left behind. Emma's face went pale. Lily started crying softly. Noah hid behind Emma, gripping her shirt tightly. Mark stood, trying to play the hero despite the fear growing in his eyes. "Stay here. I'll check." "No." Emma grabbed his wrist. "You don't understand." But Mark shook her hand off gently and stepped into the hallway. The pounding grew louder. Mark approached Lily's door slowly. "Probably an animal," he muttered to calm himself, though his voice shook. He reached for the doorknob. Emma held her breath. The entire door suddenly bulged outward, as if something inside had thrown its whole weight against it. Mark jumped back, swearing under his breath. Then silence. Dead, suffocating silence. Mark turned to look at Emma. We're leaving this house. Right now. But before he could take another step, the lights flickered violently. All at once, Lily's bedroom door swung open on its own, revealing the dark room inside. And from the closet, the door creaked open an inch. A whisper slid across the hallway. Found you. Emma grabbed both children as Mark slowly backed away from Lily's open door. The whisper lingered in the air, soft, but sharp enough to freeze every muscle in their bodies. Lily clung to Emma, sobbing quietly, while Noah stared wide-eyed at the darkness inside the room. Mark swallowed hard. Everyone downstairs. Now. They moved together, stepping backward until they reached the stairs. But as they began to descend, the temperature dropped so sharply that their breaths turned white. The lights flickered, then steadied, dim, sickly, almost green. Halfway down, Emma heard footsteps above them. Not one set. Several. Slow, dragging, uneven steps moving toward the staircase. The sound of nails scraping down the wall followed, echoing through the hall. Emma forced everyone to move faster, nearly tripping. When they reached the living room, she turned to close the stairway door, only to freeze. A figure stood at the top of the stairs. Tall. Thin. Head tilted unnaturally sideways, like it couldn't hold the weight of its own skull. Long black hair hung forward, almost touching the steps. And its hand, its grotesquely long, bone-like fingers, wrapped around the railing. Emma's voice cracked. Mark, don't move. The figure took a step down. The wood creaked. Another step. Its hair shifted slightly, revealing a pale, sunken face with eyes too large, too empty, staring straight at Emma. Lily screamed. Mark grabbed a fireplace poker, placing himself in front of his family. The creature paused at the fifth step and whispered in a hollow voice. You finally see me. The creature descended the stairs slowly, every step deliberate, as if savoring the family's terror. Mark held the poker out in front of him, but Emma knew deep down it wouldn't matter. This thing wasn't flesh, wasn't bound by anything human. The lights flickered violently. The front door shook as though someone or something was pushing against it from outside. Wind howled through the cracks, though no windows were open. We need to run, Emma whispered. To where? Mark hissed. It's blocking the stairs. Another whisper filled the room, this time coming from everywhere, walls, ceiling, even the floor beneath their feet. You were chosen. You belong to me. Noah's eyes rolled upward as he swayed, the cold air wrapping around him. Emma grabbed him quickly, pulling him close. Stay with me, baby. The creature reached the bottom step. Its feet didn't fully touch the ground, floating slightly, toes dragging. Mark swung the poker. His hand passed right through it. The creature's face twisted into a slow, unnatural smile. Emma made a decision without thinking. She grabbed the long hallway mirror, the same one that had shown the handprints, and yanked it off the wall, dragging it into the living room. The creature paused. Emma turned the mirror toward it. The creature's reflection was clearer than it should have been, sharp, real, snarling. And in that reflection, it recoiled, shrinking backward as if the glass burned it. Mark. The door, now. Mark shoved the front door open. Emma held the mirror like a shield, forcing the creature back. With one final scream that rattled the house, it vanished into the shadows. The Carters ran out into the freezing night, leaving everything behind. Blackwood House grew silent again. Waiting. Because it knew they would never truly escape it.